This week on Let's Try This Again, the goal is for us to get to the same word.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Husband.
Blue.
Blue husband. Blue balls.
Smurfs. All right.
Cartoon.
Small.
What's a small cartoon? Tweety
Minions.
Bird. Minions?
Isn't that what they are?
How
That
old are
movie.
you?
There's actually a word that can come that we can both say, but I don't know if we're going to both say it. That would make sense for this.
Okay, what you going to say? Dear Lord, I thank you for this day, God. I thank you for what you're doing, seen and unseen, heard and unheard, Lord. I thank you for this opportunity, for these interviews, for every single guest that came today, for every single person that has poured into this platform, God. I thank you for community in my village, God. I thank you for every single guest that is coming to plant a seed, and let's try this again. I thank you for what you're doing in this platform. Let everything that comes out of our mouth today be pleasing unto you, God. Let it touch somebody, make somebody laugh, make somebody heal, make somebody change their mind from a negative to a positive, God. I thank you for every single person behind the camera with their gifts. Thank you for Alex. Thank you for this home. Thank you for this location. Thank you for financial freedom, Jesus, so we can walk in our purpose and our gifts. Thank you for an amazing day today. And thank you for propelling us forward into our purpose. I thank you for Stephan. I thank you for his gift. I thank you that anything he says on this platform touches somebody, touches a viewer, God. We thank you. We praise you. We love you. In Jesus' name we ask and thank you. Amen.
Amen.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Try This Again podcast. Let me tell y'all something. I done tried so many things again this morning that we are an hour late to shooting, but it's okay because God could be protecting me from something that I don't even know. So I'm not going to be agitated. I done got stuff on my shirt. I got coffee. I was riding in the car. This the second shirt. This is the second outfit. We done had to change the setup here and everything. We done tried so many things again already, and it's only 11 a.m. We're supposed to start at 10 a.m. But guess what? I got an amazing guest today, and he is patient. He is handsome. He was just, the whole time we setting up, I'm like, look, my guest has been here for 30 minutes and we're not ready. He's like, it's okay. He's patient. He's here. He's ready. And I cannot wait to pick this man's brain because y'all know I'm single. And I've been watching all his interviews. I've been listening to this man for a couple years, actually. And I am so excited to actually sit with him and have the honor and the blessing for him to be on Let's Try This Again podcast. Y'all, please welcome Stephan Speaks. I said it right?
You said it right.
Because I was saying Stephan. And he's like, that is not my name. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Reach across, get some of that good energy. Thank you for being patient. We had a late start today.
Not a problem.
But I'm so glad you're here. And I'm excited to talk to you because you are a relationship guru. I've seen your interviews. I've been watching some of your interviews actually this week. Like, what do I want to ask him that's different? What do I want to talk about that's different? And I was taking notes. I was started writing stuff down. I'm like, because I've been single for a while now.
Yeah.
So, I want to talk to you about some of that stuff. But Stephan Speaks. And I asked you off camera, I was like, is that your last name?
No. So my last name is Labossiere.
Okay. And that's French.
Yeah. So I'm Haitian back. My parents are Haitian.
Okay.
But yeah, the last name is French.
Come on, French. Say it again.
Labossiere.
Labossiere.
Yeah.
Did I say it right? Labossiere.
Pretty good.
I've been seeing you because we see each other in our building all the time. And every time I see you, I'm like, I want to pick your brain. But before we get into the relationship stuff, I want to play a game with you.
Okay.
I explained it to you off camera. We're going to see. Our minds are probably so different, but I like this game because the goal is for us to get to the same word.
Yeah.
See if we can get to the same word. So we're going to just yell out a word, a random word. And after that word, we're going to see how both of our words correlate. And then we're going to yell out another word and another word and another word until me and you hopefully eventually say the same word.
At some point.
At some point. Now, if it takes too long, I'm going to be like, our minds are just too different. But, okay, you ready?
Yeah.
So it could be any word. It doesn't matter what the word is. This
All
is just a little icebreaker. Okay, let me think of my word. Okay.
All right.
1, 2, 3. Husband.
Blue.
Blue husband. Blue husband.
Yeah, I don't know
Okay,
where
you
we
ready?
go from there. All right.
I'm so childish. You ready?
Okay, yeah.
1, 2, 3. Blue balls.
Smurfs. That's all I can think of. A blue person.
Okay, blue balls. I'm so childish. That's the first thing I thought of. Okay, Smurfs. Okay, you ready?
Hold on. Smurfs and blue balls. Lord have mercy. Where are we going with this? All right.
1, 2, 3. Cartoon. Small cartoon.
Okay.
Okay, a small cartoon. Okay. What's a small cartoon? Small cartoon. You ready?
Yeah.
A small cartoon?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Tweety Bird. Minions?
Yeah. Ain't that what they are?
How old are you?
Wasn't that movie on just a few years ago? I never even saw the movie.
The Minions.
I done seen all types of promotion for it before.
Minions and Tweety Bird. Oh my God. This is so hard.
There's actually a word that can come that we can both say, but I don't know if we're going to both say it. That would make sense for this.
Wow. Okay, hold on. Let me think now. You a little more. Okay. Minions and Tweety Bird. Okay, what you finna say?
Yellow.
Oh, wow. Yellow, I wasn't going to say that.
Is yellow.
I was going to say a parrot.
Oh. Yeah, I think we should
do this. Yeah. Come on, let's do it one more time.
Okay.
We can do this.
All right.
Okay.
So we starting again, or we taking
we're starting
it from...
over.
Okay.
That went too far left.
All right.
Went from blue balls to minions. Okay.
All right.
1, 2, 3. Black. Dreads. Ooh, black and dreads. I got my word.
All right. Ready?
1, 2, 3.
Stephan.
Man. He said Stephan. I said man. That was good. Okay, Stephan, man. Okay, first word that comes to me when I think of that.
I don't know what. All right, go ahead.
Hold on, wait. Now I'm nervous. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Powerful.
Man of God.
Powerful man of God. Okay.
All right.
Powerful man of God.
All right.
What's the common word for that?
Go ahead. Ready?
No, it's so many words. What you about to say?
Jesus.
I was going to say God. Powerful man of God. I was going to say God. Okay. I quit. That was pretty good, though. We almost got to the same word, but we didn't. He think too deep.
We did better the second round.
We did better the second round. We was on the same time. Okay, so look, I want to get into this because I made a comment, which I still get bashed for, right?
Okay.
Years ago. This was so many years ago, y'all. Let it go. Let it go. Please. Like, what's that cartoon? What's the let it go. Let it go. Please leave me alone about it. Oh, I made a comment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nick Cannon was interviewing me. And he said, would you date a man with a 9 to 5? And I should have said was, I would like to date an entrepreneur. What I'm learning now is just say what you want, not opposed to what you don't want, because I think everyone that had a 9 to 5 got offended by my comment, right? And it wasn't meant, I've had a 9 to 5. I've had numerous jobs. I've had 3 jobs at once. Anybody with a 9 to 5 that is hardworking, I totally understand that world because I come from it, right? I'm not bashing men with 9 to 5. I don't think men with 9 to 5 are not hardworking or not successful. You could have a 9 to 5 and still be super financially stable. Mm-hmm. But I would love to date a man that has my same lifestyle, that has freedom to get up and go, doesn't have to call into work and get paid off time. And it's just a different lifestyle for me. Yeah. So what I should have said is, I would love to date a man that is an entrepreneur, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the main thing that I'm thinking of, one of my, you know how everybody has relationship goals. Yeah. Toby and Fat. Do you know who that is? They always have on the mint green. They're artists. I think I know you're talking about. He's an independent artist. He's African artist. African. He's I think he was born in America. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But I love the way him and his wife move. He don't ever hit a stage without his wife being there. He brings his kids on stage. But that is because of the life they've cultivated with not just financial freedom, but time. Yeah. Freedom in time and doing what you want to do. They're both entrepreneurs. They both do music. They travel together as a family. They're on the road together. And I just love that dynamic. So that's like my relationship goals. Or I have that dream of what I would want my relationship to look like. What do you think about my comment? I want to know your opinion on my comment. And I want you to tell me what you think about me being an alpha entrepreneur, because I'm alpha in the workspace, but I don't desire to be like that in my relationship. So the type of man you think I should be with.
Okay.
With my lifestyle. Can he work at Subway?
So, interestingly enough, I remember that comment, and people had I knew a few people who like pointed out to me like, oh, look what she said, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And at that time I was like, yo, I understand what she's trying to say. I don't have an issue with what she's saying. My only concern is, does she understand how that may not actually work the way she's dreaming of it working? And so what I meant by that is the fact that though that person is an entrepreneur too, and therefore they can relate to you more and they should technically have more flexibility, the unfortunate reality is with entrepreneurs, that flexibility may not align with each other. Meaning when you're free to do something, he may not be free to do something. You see what I'm saying? When he's going in this direction, you're going in that direction. And it leads to a lot of frustration, which is why you see a lot of celebrity couples, in my opinion, don't work out well.
Man.
When they're both doing a lot in their own careers.
Busy.
You see? It can work if you two are aligned in the actual niche that you're in.
Okay.
So mentioning, I forgot the artist's name you said, them going on stage together.
Toby and Fat, yep.
They're both artists. They're both doing music.
They do it together.
Exactly.
Got it.
So they can actually now create an alignment that doesn't create conflict there. But if you have one person who's, I don't know, a motivational speaker, another person who's a supermodel, she's getting called to do a shoot somewhere, he's getting called. And what you'll find is professional people, I have to say especially men, not saying this doesn't happen with women either, but men who are successful, what they value a lot is the availability of a woman.
Ooh,
all right? So after I'm out on the road, traveling, doing my work, I don't want to come home and you're like, nah, baby, I got to go handle this for my job. I got to go do this. I got to do that.
I got to go podcast.
Exactly.
Now you mad at me.
Exactly. Because no one gets into a relationship to not have someone pour into them. They're looking for something to be able to receive from that individual. Of course, you have to be prepared to give, but what can you get in return? So if you have a partner who isn't available when you need them to be available, that creates a problem. And the same thing can happen with a woman. If she is having an emotional struggle at the moment and she needs her man, but her man's like, nah, I got to go do this, I got to do that. It takes its toll after a while. You can deal with it initially maybe, but over time, and pay attention, notice the successful men who cheat. A lot of times, who do they cheat with? Nannies, the nurse, whatever, the cook, the housekeeper, the secretary, women who are close and available.
Jesus.
So to me, I think as entrepreneurs, we have to understand, we have to find a partner that we can create a level of harmony and alignment with.
Okay.
Now, again, can it happen with another entrepreneur? It is possible.
Okay.
But I think for a lot of people, they may have to find someone who's more of a 9-to-5 worker because...
I didn't mean nothing by that.
For some people, because they may need more of that stability from that partner as far as, I know what your schedule is. I know when you're available. That's the thing with entrepreneurship.
Okay.
There's not a real set schedule.
You gotta open it up, mama. I'm not exiting it out.
You know what I'm saying? Now, I do think, again, if you are an entrepreneur and you're still striving like, nah, I still want to align myself with another entrepreneur.
But you said somebody that does something I do.
So
you think a comedian. I'm the only funny one here. You're not finna be upping me on my jokes.
But you know what? But listen, if they are a comedian, that's great because, again, y'all could do tours together. Or let's just say they're not a comedian. Let's say they're a host. They're great at hosting shows.
I like that.
All right, so they could be hosting your shows on tour with you. Y'all still can be together. You see what I'm saying?
But you see, now the man is hosting. I'm headlining. Now he mad because he the man. And now I'm headlining. Oh, your girl headlining.
And I think that's an issue if he doesn't know who he is and securing himself. Okay. Because if he's a host and that's his thing, who cares if you're the headliner for comedy? Yeah.
And not insecure.
That shouldn't be a problem. You know what I'm saying? But if he is having that kind of an ego where he feels like he should be getting more attention than you, well, that's a different issue.
Okay.
You feel me? But I think that, yeah, if as an entrepreneur you want to have that kind of a relationship, then I think a big key is creating a structure in your life that allows there to be a more predictable flexibility, so to speak. So it's like, all right, if we know what our schedules are. So I remember reading a book one time, I can't remember what the book was, but the guy was saying like for the first 7 years of him being an entrepreneur, he was all over the place. He was taking calls late at night. He was doing this, he was doing that. And then finally, to make his relationship work, he's had to create structure to where it was like, all right, I don't take calls after 6 p.m. 6 p.m., done. You know what I'm saying? I don't do X, Y, Z. I don't travel on certain seasons. So now his wife knows, okay, I at least got you for these seasons of the year. I don't have to worry about you being all over the place. And now when he's not available on the other times during the year, it's easier for her to deal with that because she knows, all right, it's just for this month. It's just for the next couple months. But I know later this year, I can look forward to having him more. But when you don't know when you're going to actually have time with your partner consistently, that's frustrating.
So how has dating been for you, being an entrepreneur then? Because, and I want to ask you, as a powerful Black man who is confident, from what I've seen, you're confident, you're not insecure, you know who you are. Would you like to date a woman who is powerful and walking in her purpose and maybe alpha in the workspace, but knows how to submit in her relationship? Or would you rather date a woman who is more likely to help you with and follow you into your purpose? And she's not as in the entrepreneur workspace. Like, would you rather date a woman who is more in the background and like she can support you in your purpose and you lead in both aspects, not just the relationship, but the financial aspect of it too?
So for me, I'm open either way. My thing is, so I'm one of those guys who's big on flexibility and availability. Okay. So if whatever you're doing doesn't take you away from being able to be the partner I need or be the mother for if we have children for them, cool. Like if you want to work, I don't care. My goal has always been to set up a life to where you don't have to work.
I like that.
Because there's a difference between having to work and choosing to work. Yes.
Yeah.
I want it to be where, listen, you want to work at this job, cool. But they piss you off tomorrow,
you could quit.
F them, you're gone. Like you don't have to stay there. You got nothing to worry about. Or, because I believe that in today's world, we've taken too many people outside the household. And this is why it's already hard enough for kids to grow up in the world today because of the internet and everything. But now you remove both parents out the household and there's nothing to buffer them. So to me, if we start noticing the kids, one of the kids are, falling off the path, we might need you home more. You know what I'm saying? If we have that flexibility, great. If we don't, that's going to be my problem. So my concern with, let's say, the woman who is really powerful, driven in her purpose. I mean, because you can be in your purpose in various ways. You can be in your
person and working in your purpose and work at a 9 to 5.
Or to me, you can be in your purpose and being a homemaker. That might be what your purpose is, to be in alignment with whatever man you're supposed to be with. But if you're that powerful go-getter woman, my only concern is, can you build that flexibility to where you can still be present in the relationship? So there's a great book, The Way of the Superior Man.
Oh my God.
By David Dieter. And it talks about...
I love that book.
I've always believed this, but then when I read it in his book, it's like confirmed it for me completely. And it said, don't make your woman your everything. She can't be your accountant, your business partner, your mother, your lover. You're overburdening her. Identify what are the things you need from her and let her thrive in those roles and take away the other responsibilities.
Such a good book.
So for me, I feel like, all right, sexual fulfillment is going to be one of them. It's just, it is what it is. That's important to me. Motherhood is going to be important to me. Attraction is important to me. All right. So to me, it's about...
Man, attraction. What do you look like?
Listen, hey, I'm just being real. Like, that's important. And also, I would say the fourth thing is the energy in the household. Because I am...
These are top 4?
Those are my 4 priorities. All right? Like, so what I'm saying is, for me, because for another guy, priority might be, she needs to be bringing in some money. You feel me? Priority might be, she needs to be cooking me a meal every day. That's not priority for me. If she can and it doesn't overburden her, fine, but I'm not putting that on her. But those 4 things are important to me. So especially the whole energy in the household, because I'm a firm believer that the woman's energy can dictate the energy in the household. This is where I really think people looked at the whole happy wife, happy life thing the wrong way. I think some individuals looked at it as like, oh, sacrifice your own happiness as a man to make sure she's happy.
Yeah.
That's not, I don't look at it that way. I view it as, you ever look at a home where the woman is genuinely happy, you're going to see a happy home.
For sure.
It's very difficult to find that. Now, I've seen situations where the man is happy and the woman's miserable.
For sure.
Okay?
Because when the woman happy, you want some head. Come on.
That's what I'm saying.
You want this? Now you're getting food.
Everyone benefits when the woman is genuinely happy. All right? And genuinely with a man that she loves. So to me, my focus is, how do we cultivate the environment that will allow you to achieve those 4 priorities? All right. So if that means, all right, well, having to cook and clean is too much. Again, now, granted, I'm in a different position than others, so I have more flexibility to obtain what I'm looking for.
For sure.
But my thing is, all right, fine. If we got to get someone to clean the house that takes that, cool. We got to get somebody, cool. Because as long as those 4 priorities are there, I'm good. You're happy. We thrive. So getting back to your question as far as finding that powerful woman. Yeah. Again, I won't rule it out, because to me, it's all about who God has for me.
For sure.
And sometimes what we think we want isn't always what we need, right? Or what's truly best for us. So I stay flexible and always allowing God to lead me in those situations. But I do think that for many women who are already in that alpha, successful, moving and shaking role, it can be a hard transition.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? And I think that's the problem for many. And I also want to say, because you kind of mentioned how like you're alpha in work, but you know how to be submissive in a relationship.
I didn't say I know how.
Oh.
I didn't say I know how now. I know my flaws. I am trying.
Okay, yeah. It's hard.
I haven't practiced in so long. I've been single for so long, but I understand that I can't have the same energy that I'm having leading a multi-million-dollar business, being a CEO, that I want to have at home with my man, who I want to take the reins and lead. So.
Yeah. But here's the thing I will say to entrepreneurial women or successful women, I do think women underestimate how much feminine energy would actually work in the workplace. All right. I think there's this natural inclination to where you got to be alpha, strong, harsh, all these things. I even had a woman who was a lawyer at this law firm, and she said, I had to be a bitch to get ahead. And I said, no, you got ahead despite being a bitch. They don't like you. They hate your guts, but you're so good at what you do, they had to promote you.
Wow.
But now imagine if you knew how to be charming, sweet, loving. And I know that the fear is, well, if you're all those things, they'll start to disrespect you. They won't take you seriously. There has
to be a balance.
No, they don't take you seriously when you don't create boundaries and enforce those boundaries. Not because you talk to them a certain kind of way.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, if you're a manager at a call center, for example, and you're leading a team, and if someone comes late, you're supposed to write them up.
Yeah.
If they come late and you don't write them up, that's when you start losing respect. That's when they start thinking they can get over on you. But you could write them up and have a smile on your face and be sweet and loving and still inform. And they still have to respect it because they know you're going to hold them accountable. You see? So it's accountability that earns respect.
Yeah.
It's not the attitude per se.
I think that's what I'm working on, like enforcing a boundary. I'm like, it's okay, or it's all right. Or now I'm like, look now. Y'all been playing with me for 10 years, So I'm getting to the point where boundaries matter instead of brushing things under the rug. I think like being nice is always in my character. Please, thank you, whatever. But trying to make people feel an at-home environment. But that is something I lack, enforcing a boundary. And I think I need to work on that more.
And that's the big key. But I want to go back real quick to when you asked me, what's the type of man I think you should get?
I thought you forgot.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Oh my gosh.
So
I need to pay you for relationship coaching. My husband he got to be out there somewhere.
He's out there.
Okay.
He's out there. I think for every woman, whether they're in your position or not.
No, make it for me.
Okay.
From what
so I'm going to focus on you. I'm going to focus on you.
Woman.
I think number one.
Be nice.
I'm going to be nice, of course. I always speak with
you
love.
You are too.
I always speak with love. The focus has to first be on connection.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And connection may come in different packages. All right. So it may come in
physically
in the sense of, or even like
connection.
Don't get me wrong. When I say it's coming in a different package, doesn't mean it's gonna be with a guy you're not attracted to.
Okay.
I don't believe that's the case.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, let's say, your mindset is someone who's an entrepreneur who can relate to your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say there is a 9-to-5 guy who you connect with on a level that you connect with no other man. To me, we build from there.
Okay.
Because we can correct or we can adjust things as long as we have a strong enough foundation.
Yeah.
All right. But you can find an entrepreneurial guy. If there's no connection, it's just not going to last over time.
For sure.
Exactly.
I agree with that.
I think it's just really focusing more on the connection side. But I think also because you know who you are. Like, I believe there are some women who are career driven because they love the lifestyle the career provides. And then there's other women who are very driven because that's how they're wired.
Yep.
It feeds them to accomplish and do things and move. There's other women where they wish they could leave their job, but they ain't trying to stop getting their weekly massage or shopping when they want to shop. Yep. They like the lifestyle, which is why for many of them, when they're looking for a man, like I realized that a long time ago where I once asked a woman, she was a nurse. I said, how much do you need for a man to make for you to stop working? And she was like, $500K. And I'm like, hold on. I'm like, in my head, like this, you don't need $500K to live a good life. But what I realize people do, a lot of women do is, let's say a woman's making $150,000.
Okay.
And she's living a great life the way she wants to live off that $150,000. So in her mind, I need a man that makes the $150,000 I make
plus
so that I can sustain this lifestyle but leave my job. Plus, you got to make your own $150,000 to cover you so we can do the same things together.
And you got to add.
And let's add a little bit on top.
I don't want Delta. Now I want the jet. Right.
Exactly. And that's how the big numbers come. But it just shows how so many, they don't really love the work they have to do.
Yes.
They just want the lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for focusing on you for a second. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like you're someone who is wired to be driven. You're just a driven person. You feed off of that. Excited. You love that. Yeah. You can't just be home chilling.
And I think, and you know what? This has nothing to do with 9-to-5. Now, looking back, I want somebody who is passionate and walking in purpose. Mm-hmm. And maybe that might be their 9-to-5. You get what I'm saying? Maybe they love that. But 90%, I'm not going to say 90% because I don't know the percentage, but a lot of people, like you said, are just doing it for the money or doing it out of fear because they know they're going to get that check every 2 weeks, but your passion is over here.
Yeah.
I want a man that's passionate about what he does. If you like building Legos, explain to me why Legos are cool. That is sexy to me. This nigga, I mean, now don't just be building Lego houses all day, every day. Nigga, don't just be, I'm like, look now, I done came home and the Legos ain't making no money. You've been doing the Legos for 10 years. Maybe that needs to be a hobby. But that is sexy to me. Why are Legos cool? Why is this cool to you? Why does this get your mind going? Why is this therapy to you? I like a man that's passionate about something. And I feel like a lot of people are, of course, it sucks. Like, I get the lifestyle. I was there. You're stuck in this rut of doing things you don't like to make money to survive.
Yeah.
You know, so I do want a man that's passionate and walking in purpose, whatever that may look like. And that can be a 9-to-5, that can be entrepreneurship.
Yeah. And I think you need a man who respects your drivenness, your grind. Like, I think, like for me, even as a man, I've learned not every woman honors a man who's always striving for more. So it's like you want to go to the gym all the time and your partner's like, why are you always going to the gym? Why you can't stay home? And they don't understand you are wired to drive for more and you get a lot out of going to the gym or you get a lot out of work. Like for me, there's a line, I forgot, I think Big Sean in the Blessings song, he said, F of AK, I feel better at work. That resonates with me.
Same.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Same.
I don't know how to just chill all the time. Like, I had a homeboy who talked about, I can't wait to retire and hang on the beach. I'm like, are you crazy?
Desire to do that. Like, I will go on the beach and still be sending emails. I have my meditation time, but then I'm like, I get this idea. As I'm meditating, I get ideas and vision and more that all align back to my purpose.
Exactly. Yeah. Some of us are just wired to work. And we don't, and again, we have to, of course, learn how to create balance.
For sure.
It doesn't mean we don't ever vacation, but we're workers.
Because we love it.
And I know there's a lot of people who they're not driven like that. And so I do think it's important that we find partners that can respect how driven we are and understand. And I think also, though they may not be walking in a specific like career, so to speak, do they also have their own mindset of always growing and getting better?
In some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
I agree with that. Not just financially, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, all continued growth.
Yes.
Continued elevation.
Yes, because people who have that mindset, they can align together and it works. But if that person is very stagnant and you're constantly moving, it doesn't work. It conflicts. But I have to say, there's an unfortunate reality, and I think there's two reasons for it. Because a lot of women want an ambitious man, right? Mm-hmm. And I've come to realize that, I hate to say it, but I think the majority of men are not as ambitious as most women would like. By nature. I think that majority of men are wired to do enough to get what I need to get, and I'm good.
Wow. Okay.
There isn't a I have to do more. You know what I'm saying? And
so it's not a I want to be better.
Not if where I've already gotten to
has gotten me
what I need.
It done got me the girls. It done got me the car.
It's like, there's. I would argue the majority of men, they had a wife, they got food on their plate, they got a house over their head, they can watch their games, whatever. They're good.
They feel fulfilled?
Yeah, they're fine.
Oh, okay.
They're fine.
In my mind, I would think that it would be the opposite. Like they would continue to
No, because again, I think, and this is why one of the reasons, we won't get too deep into it right now, but this is one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of the whole building with a man. When we're talking about trying to basically take a man who's way below where he needs to be and get him to a higher place, unless he's already established the foundation of character that he needs, then that's different.
So I have approval. Now, let me think I heard you clearly now. So y'all don't judge me. This relationship coach and guru is telling me that, say it again, you are not a fan of
the whole build a man thing.
Thank you.
And again,
because I tried it. I flew a man out. I had to tell you that.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
No, it is. And I made sure he had a layover on Spirit. Because you're not going to play with me.
I mean, listen. No. Different people, let me tell you something real funny.
When he landed, I looked at him like, what the hell?
This is going to sound bad. And I just want to preface this by saying this is a me thing. I'm not saying anyone needs to agree with this. All right. And maybe I have issues and I need to fix it. But whenever I see posts of women, like, you ever see the post where the man walks in the room and there's money on the bed and all these gifts? I almost want to throw up.
Yeah,
it disgusts me when I see that.
I get it.
It bothers me. And it's like, and again, I get it. Some people, they're wired different, and maybe that man does take care of her. What you typically find is, though, he's not doing the same level of pouring into her in those types of scenarios. Right?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a whole different situation. If he has the character, he's putting in the work, and he just needs another boost, that's different, right?
Okay.
That's a building with him that I say is cool.
Okay.
But what you have is women taking on men that they see this potential with. And I always say potential might be in the figment of your imagination. And he has not developed the character yet. So basically, if he hasn't achieved at least stability in his life, you're playing a huge risky game, because again, the nature of a lot of men is, once I have what I wanted, why am I going to keep working?
Okay,
there's no incentive.
And you're saying the character. Give me an example of the character.
Someone who
doesn't have the character. What is that?
Self-motivated.
Okay.
All right. Is able to follow up his words with actual actions. All right. Okay. So again, if he gonna say I'm looking for a job, but then he don't go apply for the next 2 weeks, what are you doing, bro?
I done filled out 12 applications for you.
And that's the thing. You'll see so many scenarios where it's the woman filling out all the applications for him. Now, it's one thing if you tell me, okay, while you're filling out X amount of applications, he's filling out other.
Yeah,
that
we're
makes
doing
sense.
This together.
Yes,
partnership.
Or if he's handling something else that's working towards the end goal at the same time, that makes sense. But literally, this man is chilling while you doing all the legwork. He has not built up the character yet, and that's why I think people don't understand when God's taking us through a process, and I always say, like, you have to be careful of who you help because you might be interfering in who God is trying to build up.
Wow.
All right?
Wow.
So like, even if I see a homeless person, I'll pray before I give any money.
Yep.
I'm always willing to give.
Yep.
But I pray because I don't know what God's trying to do in this moment. And sometimes you're interfering, and it's that process of some people have to hit rock bottom before they finally look up and start looking towards God. And so in him learning how to get out of that dark place, that's going to help build him to where he is now the man that he needs to be in a relationship. Yep. But if you rob him of that,
coddling, enabling,
yeah. And I have to say, because it's kind of hitting my spirit right now, that's what a lot of mothers have done to their sons.
Wow.
They robbed them of the process of having to learn how to be a man, how to stand on your own 2 feet, how to work through issues, how to overcome adversity. You can't make life so easy for him. And then that's what happens where now when they grow up, you have these men who were coddled, who basically are looking for a new mother who has sex with them.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
Their woman is just the mother's replacement, but gonna have sex with them too.
Wow.
And they just become a burden to that woman. So you got to be really careful with that whole thing and make sure he has at least achieved a level of stability. He don't got to be rich. He don't have to have everything perfect, but can he at least stand on his own 2 feet?
Okay. You know see that, like you said, with his character, he's showing you that.
Yes.
So you try to jump over my question. You see how you got us with the gym analogy and the book, The Way of the Superior Man. Mm-hmm. You see he dropping all them gym. Ooh, one of my favorite quotes from that book: "The way a man penetrates his woman should be the same way he penetrates the world." Ooh, I love it. With openness, depth. I cried when I read that. I said, I don't know if I've ever been penetrated like that. I don't know. Have I ever been penetrated like that?
Oh,
I love that book. I didn't finish it, not gonna lie, but I love it. My question was, how has your dating life been? And we're gonna add on to that. Why are you single?
Okay.
You such a guru. Where your ring at?
So first, how my dating life has been. I'm not gonna lie to you, it really hasn't. It's been kind of non-existent.
How old are you, Stephan?
We gotta get that
right now.
No, tell me.
Why you don't want to say it? That is a blessing. Come on, say it. I'm gonna Google it.
I'll tell you later.
Tell me on the mic.
I'll tell you later.
He said, I am 56.
But
no, I'm just kidding.
Like last year, man, we toured in the UK. We were supposed to go to Africa, but some things I got sick. We were touring all over the place. And so when you're doing so much traveling and touring, it can be very difficult to really establish long enough in the early phase, because you need that early stage to really lay the foundation with someone. And when you're always on the move, and for me, I'll admit, I'm very out of sight, out of mind. And I'm horrible with keeping up with people in general. Family, friends.
Okay.
You know, I thank God for my friends because they all respect and understand me. And they don't hold it against me anymore.
Yeah.
And they know I'm always there for them when they need me. But yes, I'm not the greatest at calling and having a phone conversation and checking up and all these things. So with all that said, that has hampered the dating process. But then I'm gonna be real with you. I'll be transparent. Like the beginning of this year, I prayed and I was like, all right, God, is it time?
Wow.
And God told me no.
Jesus.
He said, it ain't time yet.
And did he say when?
No, you never, that's the thing. So let's get into why I'm single, because that ties into all of this.
Okay.
I think a lot of people don't understand. There's two systems working in this world. There's the world system and there's God's system.
Man.
Okay? What like can be achieved through God's system can be achieved much quicker. All right? But through God's system, it's a process. And the process is going to be different depending on what you're called to do, what God is going to make you responsible for. So to give an analogy, if you are called to work at Walmart as a cashier, and I'm not saying that in any kind of negative way, let's just say that's your thing. Well, for you, all that's required in life may be a GED or a high school diploma, right? So you can achieve getting to your position much faster because there's less that has to go into that. If you're called to be a doctor, You got to go to get your degree. You got to go to medical school. You got to go to residency. There's a much longer process because what you're called to do is on a different level. Now, to me, everyone, no matter what level you are on, is as important to the whole grand scheme of this whole thing.
You don't know who that cashier is.
Exactly. They exactly. The role they play is just as important because you don't know who they're going to impact in that everyday life being that cashier. But what has to be prepared in order for them to be in that role is different from the person who's the doctor or the president or whatever the case may be.
Wow.
So I know for me, initially, I think I know what the delay is right now. I think I do.
You don't want to say it.
I'll say it. I think part of it is I have not, through all these years, I haven't gotten the structure as far as the business is concerned properly set to where if I had to take my hands off of it completely, nothing breaks.
Got you.
You see what I'm saying?
Got you.
And I think that's part of what God's been trying to get me to do. There's been certain products, books I was supposed to do, and I've been dragging my feet because it's just all this stuff going on, and I've been getting distracted and everything. And I know I need to lock in, which is why, like I was talking to my manager the other day about next year, I might take the year off from any kind of business travel. So I can just sit in one place, lock in.
Make it a well-oiled machine.
Exactly. Because I think that God knows once he gives you or once it's time for you to receive your partner, you are not going to have the same amount of time and energy for your purpose.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean your purpose won't be a priority, but it's going to take a little bit off the top.
Ooh, I needed this. Okay.
So he does not want you to start getting in relationships before that purpose is nurtured in a way that it's not going to die off or be derailed by your relationship. And there's a lot of people, I've even seen it. I've seen guys in my space get married and they fall off. And again, not in a bad way in the sense of, it's just you have a
focus.
You have a person to pour into.
Yeah.
And then you add kids to it.
Yeah.
It's a whole different ball game. So it's like, it's not going to be as easy for me if God says, I need you to go to Australia next year. But I got family and kids. That's a different, thing to navigate. And let's be real, as human beings, we've all heard God talk to us. I believe that. I believe everybody has heard God. You may not know or realize it's God.
Listened.
Yes, but you heard him. And I don't think there's anyone on this earth that has 100% done things when they heard God told them.
Every single time. Oh, yeah.
We've all rationalized, no, this doesn't make sense or whatever. And the more you add to your life, the more things you have to rationalize past what God wants you to do.
Wow.
So it's like, again, if I have to travel, God says you need to go to Australia. But I'm like, Lord, my wife is over here. She's stressed out. You know what I'm saying? The kids have been too much. I can't leave her. Okay, maybe I should just wait a little bit.
What I told you to do was go.
There you go.
Because even if it's one person that you're going to come into contact over there.
There you go.
That is why I need you there.
But that changes the whole dynamic. So that to me is a huge layer of it, right? But then I also think, like, for me, I can say when I look back, there's been multiple times that I swore I was ready and it's time. And now when I look back, I'm like, thank God.
Thank God. It was God.
Not. And I have to say this real quick, and I'm going to come back to this whole thing. I also think that people we're, again, going back to our system, the world system, and God's system. Our system says you should be married by a certain age, you should have kids by a certain age, all these things. That's not God's system. And even when you consider the world system, consider this. The average marriage is like 9 years, I think. 8 to 9 years now. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it used to be 15. Now I think it's like down to 8 to 9. If you got married at 45, 50, right? And now, by the time you hit that 9, 10-year mark, you 60, the chances of y'all getting divorced just drop big time. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people are getting married early. I know who I am now.
Exactly.
So people are getting married early, ending up divorced in their 30s, early 40s, having to do it again. And the sad part about it is, throughout that whole process, never figured out who they were.
Wow.
Still don't know who they are. End up back in a new relationship they don't belong in, because they have not given themselves the time to grow and be cultivated. And again, in God's process. Because listen, the devil, the world, whatever will give you stuff like this.
Quick.
He don't want you to learn no lesson. He don't want you to grow in any kind of way. He wants you to have it and mess it up. That's what's going to happen.
Stay in that cycle.
Exactly. But when you're literally asking for what God has for you, that means not only do you have to go through the process to make sure you can nurture it and take care of it, but you're a representation of what God can do for someone. It's got to be amazing.
It's got to be amazing.
And so that means the standard of where you need to be and the time, everything has to work the way God wants it to work. And I think for a lot of people, I always say most relationships start because people overlook the red flags.
100%.
Okay? I am incapable.
That's me. I'm like, that flag was pink.
Exactly. Exactly. And listen, 90% of people, if not more, do it. For me, I can't look past a red flag.
Okay.
I do this for a living. I've seen everything. I think what people underestimate, because you'll have some people who like talk trash about, well, he's not married. He shouldn't be talking about relationships or whatever. I
disagree with that.
Exactly. It's foolishness. But I'm going to tell you one thing they're not considering. When you're married, unless you're actually like coaching other people, your own marriage doesn't provide enough different scenarios to give you the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to help everyone else.
Okay.
Because, for example, let's say you've been married 30 years, but you never dealt with sexual neglect in your marriage. You won't know how to then help someone else unless you studied it or helped other people with it, with their sexual neglect. In my position, I've seen, man, the stories are endless. Yes, I have seen so much. I have walked with people through their process in so many different ways. I have what I call secondhand experience.
Yeah.
Okay. And so in seeing all this, I understand the little small thing that you think is not a big deal, how it ends up becoming the exact thing that destroys your entire relationship.
That makes you get that divorce or breakup.
Exactly. So I can't look past it. Then I'm going to add this to it as well. Are you familiar with Myers-Briggs personality?
No.
All right. So there's this Myers-Briggs and it breaks down all these different personality types. And I knew this aside from this, but it kind of confirmed it. So I'm an INFJ, I believe. INFJ. Okay. INFJ is the rarest personality type in the world.
Wow.
And it's even more rare amongst men.
I feel like I have heard of this. I'm sure I've heard of it.
It's all these 4-letter personality breakdowns.
Okay.
And so INFJ, only 1% of men are INFJ.
You like, we the big dogs. I'm an INFJ.
It's not even that. Let me tell you where I'm going with
1%
this.
1% of men. Look at you trying to stunt, Stephan. I'm an INFJ. I need an INFJ, man.
Listen, because here's the thing. The reason why it's so rare amongst men is because one of the strengths of INFJ is intuition.
Wow.
And typically women have stronger intuitions than men.
Okay.
And this is how I've explained it to some people. I said, imagine, I always say women know deep inside when something's not right. They know deep inside when this man's not it. But they rationalize past their intuition and find reasons to move forward, okay? And a lot of that is because, and some people may argue this, but it's just facts. Women are more emotionally driven, okay? They're more emotionally impacted. It factors more into their decision making, okay? So even though she sees the red flag or her intuition is telling her something, her emotion of optimism or wanting to believe is better or fear of I won't find anything better pushes her past her intuition
and stays there.
And now she ends up dealing with this man.
Yep.
So imagine a man, me, whose intuition is as strong as a woman, but the logic side of me, of the man's side, is still just as strong as the man's.
Wow.
I can't move past the way the woman does.
Wow.
I can't rationalize past it. There's been times where I've had dudes come to me and be like, yo, why don't you date this girl for a few months, give it a chance? I'm like, few months? I know within the first couple of days or a week. I don't need all that time. Yeah. Why would I do it?
Oh, that's a gift though.
And they're like, how could you know that? And it took me a while to realize that most men are not wired that way. So I was always like, how could you not? Why are you wasting? Like, I would be frustrated with some of these guys like, yo, you wasting yours and her time. Leave it alone.
Wow.
But they're really still trying to figure it out. Where I'm like, yo, I've been soft from day one. Exactly.
And that's why I think, like, with the single thing, like, you're not in people say you're not married, you're not in a relationship, you can't speak on this. But not everybody that's single, but a lot of people that are single, once you start healing and growing and elevating, there's always a next level. You might not be that, there's never a end goal. You're always going to continuously grow if you're on that journey of elevation, right? But once you start peeling back, I feel like I'm in this season of peeling back the layers. I literally had so many men on my line when I was more unhealed, when I was more blind, when the veil was over my eyes. I was entertaining so much. I was dealing with so much. The wounded part of me wanted so much validation and love. I was sleeping with more men. I've been celibate for a year now. So, and I go through spurts. I've had done a celibate journey for 2 years. I've been celibate for a year now, but
I feel you on that.
I've done these spurts. I'm like, look, I need to sit down somewhere, sit down and go meditate and pray. But I feel like sometimes being single is like, I just walk away quicker. I don't deal with as much. Like you said, you can see things because you have the logic and the intuition. You see things quicker, and you're not just being like, okay, I'm gonna brush that under the rug. Let's see what happens. No, you walk away quicker. So sometimes being single is just, I'm not dealing with the same things I used to deal with. So it's a very much smaller pool of options anyway.
Absolutely. And to your point, the more you level up, the smaller the pool gets. I always use the analogy of like, before you learned anything about food, you ate whatever you wanted to eat. You ate everywhere. There was restaurants galore to choose from.
Anything.
The minute you learned, well, okay, now I need to go plant-based. Now it's a struggle to find one restaurant you want to eat at. You see what I'm saying? It changes everything. When you are not healed, there's so many more options to you.
Yeah.
Because you're not seeing the things that actually would eliminate this person from contention. Once you heal, boom, it starts knocking people off. Once you discover more about you, like one thing I discovered about myself that I fought for a long time, but I finally accepted.
Where are all the healed people? I'm sorry. So hold on now. Once you start healing, it starts knocking people off. Where's the community of the healing people?
Well, so the problem is there's no real community of the healed. There's proclaimed people, like people will proclaim they're healed. And again, I can't tell you how many times people try to convince me they're healed. And I'm like, yo, you're not.
You're not.
And eventually was able to get them to see, okay, there is something there. I'm not going to knock you off because you're not healed.
For sure.
My issue is, are you willing to work on the issue
and be honest and have accountability?
That's it.
And face the truth.
Yes. So fine, you got some trauma there. I'm cool with that. Because listen, no one's perfect. We've all been there before. Just because I'm at a place where I'm past those things doesn't mean I can't be with someone who isn't past everything.
Yeah.
But I've met women where once the issues were brought up to them, they just fought tooth and nail and refused to accept it for what it is. So we can't do anything here.
We can't get past it.
Exactly.
Okay.
But if you're willing to work on it, okay, cool. Then fine. Then it's just a process. But even with that, we have to be careful with how we navigate things because again, going back to that earlier discussion about the man who you're trying to build up, the same can be true in reverse for a woman when it comes to healing in the sense that for a lot of women, their desire is that loving relationship.
Okay.
And if they receive that man who's loving and pouring into them, healing is a scary journey for a lot of people.
Oh, wait.
It's tough.
It's scary for me.
Exactly. So for a lot of women, she already has the man, everything's moving along. She may drag her feet a little bit with the healing stuff. She may be resistant to it. She may go, but is she really putting into practice what they're telling her? Because there's a lot of women who say, oh, well, the women are doing the work and the men aren't. A lot of women are on the surface. They're going to therapists and coaches and things like that. But I cannot tell you how many times I've had a client who's been seeing a therapist for years, still not healed.
The same person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I applaud you for the step that you took, but let's not act like that you've resolved the issue here.
Yeah.
And so it's something that has to be considered. And yeah, it definitely plays a part in dwindling down who you can and cannot deal with. And this kind of hit my spirit just now. I got to say it. Let's go beyond that. There's a lot of women today, a lot of people who are dibbling and dabbling in alternative spiritualities.
Ooh.
And again, for me.
Okay. I'm going to stop you right there. When you say alternative, what are your beliefs? Are you Christian?
I'm Christian. The reason why I always sound hesitant when I say the word Christian is because...
Do you believe in Jesus Christ?
Absolutely.
He's the Lord and Savior.
Jesus is my Lord and Savior, yes.
Father, Son, Holy Ghost.
Yes.
That's all I need to know.
Oh, yeah. That is it.
Okay.
But I because I feel like the way these labels put people in certain boxes and people have their perceptions, I always be a little hesitant. But yes, that foundation is what it is. And so, again, not only do I have high intuition, I'm very what people would call spiritually sensitive.
Man.
I have seen some very wild things. I have experienced some very wild things. I even had a situation one time
You're saying in the spiritual world?
Yes.
Okay.
I even had one story I'll share real quick. I had somebody come over my house to do something, right? Everything was fine.
Witchcraft.
We didn't mess around, nothing like that. We weren't even romantically interested. It was a business thing.
Look at me. I can't even wait till the story. I'm sorry.
They left. Later that night, I'm asleep and I have one of those episodes of sleep paralysis. It's dark. I'm fighting. And like, I'm trying to rebuke him in the name of Jesus, right? The minute I'm going to say wake up, but sometimes I feel like it's not waking up. I'm snapping out of whatever I was in. The first thing I hear in my head is, who was in my house?
Ooh!
And for a second, I couldn't even remember. I'm like, no one was in my house.
My God.
What am I talking about? It wasn't until the next day I'm eating and I'm like, that lady was in my house. And I know for a fact, when I thought about it more, she's into some other stuff.
But no matter the whole spirit.
Exactly. And it's not that she may have maliciously done anything.
But it's on her.
Yes. And so when now we go into dating, I meet wonderful women all the time. There are different people into different things you just don't know about. And again, for me, I see and pick up on things in a way that other people can't. I remember one time I met this woman. This woman was damn near perfect. But the whole time I was like, I'm feeling this dark energy and I cannot explain what the hell's going on.
Wow.
There is something dark going on here. And I'm not even going to get too deep into it, but let's just say I was able to confirm I was absolutely right.
She had crystals in her bra.
There was some stuff going on. Okay,
and dark energy. You walking around with rose quartz.
Okay, and I mean, and again, I have stories for days. So all that to say, that adds another layer of who you can and cannot get
Keeping
with.
It guarded.
That again, to the outside world is, oh, this man's being ridiculous. He's picky or this and that. It's like, no, you just don't see what I see. And I can't always explain it to you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like...
It's a level of discernment.
Yeah.
It's spiritual eyes too.
And you know, when people say discernment, I feel like I'm a believer that discernment is through prayer. Mm-hmm. Meaning, all right, yes, you can pick up on things. Don't get me wrong. So you can have a level of discernment just in your everyday walk of life. Mm-hmm. But it's always important to go back and confirm in prayer because sometimes you could have just picked up on the wrong thing or misinterpreted
something. Ask God
to
show you.
Yeah, and clearly. I think a lot of times people just rely on their understanding and how they viewed it and what they felt rather than actually confirming things. Like everything I just told you about, I would always pray. And that's how I would get the full confirmation of things.
With I'm going to get to the celibacy thing because I know you were on a celibacy journey. Are you still celibate?
So
he's like, hold on now, last week.
I am currently abstinent. Okay,
what's the difference? Celibacy, abstinence.
Well, so I believe because there's always that the argument of which is which. I believe celibacy is when you've never had sex.
Oh, I'm not celibate.
And abstinent is when you abstaining. You're already experiencing your life, but you're abstaining from sex.
I'm abstinent. Let me stop saying celibate.
So, and I think, because some people might say I'm wrong.
Are you abstinent until marriage?
That would be the ideal.
Because your first point was sexual connection now.
Yes. So okay, let me first say this. I'm a man who I've gone as long as 5 years abstinent.
Wow.
Another run of 3 years abstinent. I've been on both ends of the spectrum.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yes.
When you say abstinent, nothing.
It wasn't 100% nothing. That's tough. I've had stretches of nothing.
I'm doing nothing.
I've had stretches of nothing because I believe in semen retention.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Yeah, I do.
So I'll practice that as well.
Okay, that's great.
But again,
self-control and discipline.
Yeah, but it can be difficult. And so Absence is something that, I've had my runs and I'll fall off,
for sure,
struggle, get back on, fall off, struggle, get on. So right now I'm on. Now, as far as waiting till marriage, I'm just going to be honest and transparent right now. I'm not sure.
That's how I am.
I want to say ideally, yes. I know that once you're faced with that person, it's difficult. Mm-hmm. It's difficult to say, okay, how long can we keep this going?
Because it's easier to be absent when you ain't got no choices, no options, you busy.
Absolutely.
But once you
I
start
will
dating,
say this, if the woman I was to meet was to be like, no, we got to be absent, I'd be like, cool. Like, I have no problem with doing it.
Okay.
So when I say I don't know, it's more so like, okay, how well will we navigate this and handle it? Okay. But I'm not against the principle of it.
Okay.
Now, in regards to you mentioning the sexual connection, I don't think you have to have sex to understand there's a connection there.
100%.
Okay?
100%.
I think one, is there a connection at all is the number one thing. To me, connection is the true fuel to great sex over the long run.
For sure.
Okay?
For sure.
Because if you don't truly like each other, you won't be motivated to pleasure each other.
Okay.
And make sure both are satisfied.
Okay.
What you have is a lot of people is that initially there's the pride of, I'm going to put on my best performance to impress this person. But when the smoke clears and you don't really like or love that person at their core, now it starts to be about what I want, what I need, and you're less worried about them. Mm-hmm. And great sex is two people being unselfish, pouring into each other. You see what I'm saying? So to me, connection is one. Two, we can have discussions. We can talk about, okay, what are you open to? What are you not? You know what I'm saying? As well as the energy of the woman. Okay. At least, don't get me wrong, of course, there's always those undercover people that come across one way, but then completely different in the bedroom, right? Yeah. But I do think if you
what you saying, like, what you mean?
Energetically. So basically, like, you can have a woman
like you saying all this, and when we get in the bedroom.
What I'm saying is you can have a woman who seems ultra conservative, maybe even her energy even comes off prudish. For sure. But in the bedroom, she's a super freak.
It's like, hold on now. We just got done praying.
Exactly. So it's not 100%, but I do think if you dive deep enough with each other, I think even when you kiss, you can pick up a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Through the kissing. And so to me, there's ways for me to still be able to say, okay, I'm confident. And again, I just feel like if there's connection, and most importantly, if when I pray, God says, this is the one,
wow.
I trust everything is going to be what it needs to be.
So I'm sure you have, because you seem so spiritual in your walk with God, your walk with Christ, your relationship, prayed, and God has clearly told you, no, not her. Not her.
Yeah.
Wow. Numerous times.
To the point where I remember one time I met this woman and she was amazing. And I was afraid to pray. Because I was like,
that'd be the worst.
Every time I pray, it's a no. I'm tired of hearing no.
You don't want the answer.
Yes. And then I eventually did it.
He said no. And you knew that. So, okay, I want to ask you this question before we go. Out of all the things you're mentioning, all the guidance you give men, all the guidance you give women, all the knowledge you have, it's kind of like, I'm going to give the analogy of somebody knowing, okay, I know McDonald's is bad, but I just want it today, right? Yeah. I'm on my green juice kick. I have my green juice. I know that's better, but today I want McDonald's fries, and that's what I'm going to have.
Yeah.
In this relationship world, whether it's your character, whether it's your morals, whether it's your values, whatever, what does Stephan battle with that you preach and you know is right? You preaching it, but sometimes it's hard for you to practice it.
I guess the lust.
Okay.
I think lust would be it. That's
the only thing.
Really? Because
I feel like with all this knowledge, you might have a little game.
So
you know how to reel them in.
So here's the thing. And that's a gift and a curse in a way.
Okay.
So even before I became Stephan Speaks, right? This is going to sound horrible, but I'm just going to...
No, go ahead and say it now.
So, once upon a time when I was not in my abstinence phase, right?
When I was a player.
When I was in these streets. And I was just trying to be casual. I discovered that the less I talked to the woman, the quicker I could sleep with her and keep her around.
Wow.
Yes. Because anytime I started to talk to her, it would then change her perception of me from someone to have fun with to, oh my gosh, I either I want to be with this guy, or I even had one situation where the woman said to me, and it was in one conversation. We met at a club. The next day we talked. And by the end of the conversation, she said, I can't mess with you anymore. You know too much about me. Because basically, the gift that makes me good as a coach is what allows me to make people feel very comfortable, very quickly, very easily, and they open up very fast.
When you said the less you talk to a woman, what automatically came to my mind was you're not as accessible and you're not giving her as much attention. So it's like, those are sometimes the guys that the women go after. It's like, look at me, look at me, look at me. He's not talking to me as much. So when you do have that connection and you finally get attention from him, now you're sleeping with him.
You know, and I think I'm a little, the way I view that is like, I think people have to understand, because, you know, this whole idea people want what they can't have.
Yes.
To me, that's not what's really going on. Because if you wanted what you can't have, that means any joker on the street could act like he don't want you and you would want him because you can't have him.
Which is not true.
Which is not true. You desire a certain individual, and when you and if who you desire is very desirable in nature, very desirable man, very desirable woman, well, they're either going to have more options available to them. They're going to be less likely to stick around.
Okay.
There's going to be more that plays into it. And your obsession with them isn't because they're not paying you attention. Your obsession with them is because you desire them. You're infatuated with this individual.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And then when you finally get it, the reason why you may now chill out because you finally got it is not because, oh, well, now that I know I can have them, I don't want them.
It's not what you thought it was.
Exactly.
Exactly. I knew it.
It want to live up to the hype anyway. Now you know.
Because once that money sit down, once that chain come off, and now you in your drawers.
Yeah.
I'm looking like, well, put the chain back on.
Exactly, because part of the infatuation, part of your obsession or infatuation with them was being fueled by your fantasy of what you wanted to believe they were. And once you now face the reality,
oh my God,
you're not as driven anymore. Exactly.
My God.
That's all it is. But going back to the less talking, no, it was more so because, again, I don't ever want anything to sound, because I think sometimes people hear this stuff and they think I'm trying to be conceited. Not conceited, but I understand what gifts I have.
Yeah.
And God has given me a gift of making people feel very comfortable. And the reason also why that was kind of a gift and a curse is because I'm a firm believer when it comes to trying to sleep with women, the quickest route is how comfortable you make her.
Wow.
If you allow her to feel safe, comfortable, without judgment, it can happen. And I don't do that as a game. I don't do that. I'm not a judgmental person. I don't judge
who you are.
Yeah. I don't judge you. I'm very considerate. That's just me. That's just how I'm wired. So that would create a lot of opportunities when I was in that space.
Yeah.
And so going back to the struggle of the lust thing, I'm a very visual person, very visually stimulated. And so to me, that has been probably the main thing. And I've really been always working on like, okay, I believe it's how do you learn how to not feed the struggle.
Okay.
So I know I can be visually stimulated. I know lust can be the issue. So I have to limit what I look at on the internet. I have to limit, what I'm feeding my spirit. Like even the music I'm listening to. I used to listen to a lot of different music. Now I'm like, nah. If I'm listening to all this sexual music,
turn me on.
Exactly.
Now I'm about to call the girl from 5 years ago. The little freak from down the street. I ain't talking to this girl in 5 years.
Yes.
Right.
So now when I drive, I don't even play music.
Yeah.
There's no music. I'm just with my thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm just processing, praying, thinking, or whatever. Now, does that mean I'm perfect? I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
I still have my moments.
Yeah.
I still make my mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm human. You know what I'm saying? But I know what I'm always striving for, And so, I would say, because other than that, like anything else I talk about and preach about, communication. I honestly can say with confidence, I practice what I preach.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to how you communicate, being mindful, how you express yourself, address the same way I tell people how to heal, write letters, all this stuff. Literally, if
these are things you've done.
Yeah, I've done them and I still do them.
Yes.
I had a situation that happened to me late last year, and I felt like there was all this anger and negativity in me. And I prayed, and God was like, "You need to write you a letter too." Like, stop playing. Just like you tell them people, you got to do it yourself. And I did it.
I feel like I went through that season.
You see what I'm saying?
Do this and change your mindset. And why are you? And then I went through a season where all of the things I was preaching, I didn't feel like doing. My mind was negative. I didn't have the confidence. I didn't understand how are you not confident? Until I went through a season where the enemy stripped me of my confidence. And then I had more empathy. I was like, wow, this is how people don't feel confident. This is how people feel muted. So I had to practice everything I was preaching. And that is difficult to do, especially when you are a leader. But me not wanting to be a hypocrite and me understanding that it actually works, I forced myself to do it.
Yeah.
But I think that requires a level of self-control and discipline. And like you said, not being okay with where you are. Some people get comfortable in that toxicity or that pain and they just sit there. I'm not okay with that. And I know it's temporary. So what do I have to do to get out of it?
Yes.
Have you always been self-controlled and disciplined like that though?
I don't want to put too much into zodiac stuff, but
look at you.
I'm a Sagittarius. All right. And if you know anything about Sagittarius men, we're very bold, very blunt. All right. So for a long time, I didn't care how you felt.
You just like, go off on people.
F everyone's feelings.
That is
I said what I wanted, how I wanted. Even listen, let the world know and let the world hear this. Let me look at the camera. Let the world hear this.
Talk to the world.
I am a man that has had to come from one end of the spectrum to this one. And I want to say, this is one of the reasons why I'm always a believer that people can grow, people can change, because I know what I've been through.
You've done it.
Even the gods, I wasn't always into God and spirituality. Literally, there was a time where if you came to me with the Bible, I was like, get out my face with that.
Did you not believe it? Or
I thought it was like, it's man-made, it's written. I used to, let me tell you, quick story that led me to the first time being abstinent. So whenever people talk about the Bible and stuff like that, I'll be like, yo, this doesn't make sense. Every sin in the Bible, if I do it, I'll feel bad. But when I have sex, I feel great. So something's not adding up.
Look at you trying to manipulate. But when I have sex.
Yeah, but let me tell you the crazy part. And I quote, the day I feel bad after I have sex, then I'll stop and I'll believe something's wrong here.
The very next time, God
I want to say years later,
uh-huh.
I start having these episodes where I felt convicted every time. And I was like, what the hell's going on? This doesn't make any sense. I've never felt like this. I literally try to sex my way out of it. I'm like, okay, let me just have some more sex, right?
Maybe I did it wrong. Yeah. Maybe I only did 8 strokes. Should have did 10. I need to redo that.
Yes, and I remember the last time
God.
I went in the bathroom, put my head down. I was like, okay, I can't fight this any longer. Something is happening. Something is different. I'm just going to surrender. God, and I know I was going through some other spiritual stuff at that time.
Yeah.
And I was just like, all right.
That's
I'm
the
just
main
going
thing, though,
off.
surrendering. People feel that, whether it's drugs, sex, alcohol, whatever that vice is, whatever God is trying to pull them away from or get their attention with, and they ignore it.
Yes.
Ignoring that conviction is a scary place to be.
Yes.
But you said you didn't believe in the Bible. What brought you to Christ?
Okay, it's a lot, so I'm going to try to give a fast...
You don't be sugarcoating my story.
This is some wild... Okay.
Let's try this again. Yeah, you gave God a second chance. Right, that's some real stuff.
I'm going to be real. So what led to it is one day, I never used to have vivid dreams. Okay? You could barely remember my dreams.
The closer I got to God, the more vivid my dreams became.
Let me tell you. So all of a sudden, I started having these vivid dreams. And I started feeling like I'm going crazy. Literally went to a therapist. And I'm like, yo, I don't know what's going on. She said, maybe you're stressed out. I said, no. I've been stressed out before. I said, I feel like I'm being taken to a spiritual place that I do not understand. And so it turned out at that time that someone put voodoo on me.
What?
Okay.
How did you find out?
So went to, let's say.
It was a girl. This when you was in the streets. You done made that girl mad.
It was involving a girl, but it was a guy who did it.
Ooh-wee.
my friend took me to one person to like, they're like a tarot card reader. And I know right now, these aren't the ways I'm supposed to do things. But at the time, I don't know
looking
any better.
for anything. And let me tell y'all, I don't want to interrupt your story, but that stuff, although it's not of God, it's still real. It's just witchcraft. It's different, but it's still real.
Yeah.
Whether it's voodoo, the tarot cards, it's a spiritual world. It's real. It's just not of God.
So I went to one person. They gave me that explanation. This person has put voodoo on you for these reasons, boom, boom, boom. I had told my mother about it. My mom tried to downplay the whole thing. She went to a completely different person. They gave the exact same story.
Answer.
There's no way. They don't know each other. They don't know my situation. They don't know nothing.
Wow.
How could they give the exact same breakdown? Number of people involved, everything.
Wow.
Okay? So all of that led to me trying to figure out how to deal with it. And I remember speaking to a close friend of mine, and she was like, well, you need to accept Jesus. And I said, well, I ain't just gonna accept Jesus just like that's fake. Just accept him so I can break free from this. Unless I genuinely in my heart believe it, I'm not gonna just say I believe it. That's phony to me.
Were you raised to believe in God?
I was raised Catholic.
Jesus? Okay.
So I'm like, she was like, well, listen, it might take you days, it might take you weeks, it might take you years. I can't tell you when. I'm just telling you that's gonna be the key to this.
Wow.
Right? I go home. Crazy story. I go home, I turn on the TV, I watch South Park. I love South Park. Why the episode of South Park got Jesus in it? I'm like...
He's like, I'm going to get your attention. I'm going to get your attention.
I'm like, nah, this can't be real right now.
Wow.
So then I had a friend whose name is Stephanie, okay? And we were very similar mindset, everything. I call her. Before I even get to tell her what's going on, she said, you won't believe what just happened to me. Someone just told me I need to accept Jesus.
This is the same day.
Yes.
Woo, thank you, Lord.
This is literally right. What happened was I saw the South Park episode. I'm sitting there like, nah, this can't be real. I pray. I said, God, you're going to have to show me, like, confirm, show me something else because I don't know. Because I had prayed and asked God. I said, because I believed in God. I was questioning the Jesus part.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you got to show me
I went through the same
what
process.
I'm supposed to believe.
I prayed.
Right?
I said, Jesus Christ, if you are real, show me who you are.
So then I call her. And then she said, oh, you won't believe somebody tried to tell me I got to accept Jesus. I'm like, what in the world is going on? And so then I was like, okay, fine. Clearly, this is it. Now, here's the kicker. And to this day, I cannot fully explain what happened here. I went to church let's say that was a Saturday or a Friday, I can't remember. I went to church the next day by myself. Mm-hmm. I go to church, and to this day, I could see this pastor's eyes. Something looked very evil in his eyes. And it was making me extremely uncomfortable.
My God.
And I'm like, nah, I'm tripping. You're finding an excuse not to be in church. Stay, sit. So I'm trying to fight it and just stay. But literally, I'm just like, I do not feel good here. Something's not right. And then I'm like, okay, I can't do it. I get up. And the minute I get up, I cannot explain it. I accept Jesus. I don't know how. I don't know why. I have
When you said accept Jesus, it was a what? A belief?
It was like a knowing, something, a feeling? Switch just flipped.
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, I accept.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, now I know.
This is it.
I almost feel like this was a test.
Yeah, for sure.
And my spirit was seeing, was I going to trust my spirit in that moment or trust my own mind and understanding?
Wow.
And the minute I trusted my spirit, it was like, all right, you're ready now. Boom. And then from that day, and so let me say, when I went to those people to tell me what was going on, I remember I was having all these vivid dreams.
Yeah.
The dreams stopped. They were like, we're going to take care of things for you. Boom, dreams stopped. No more dreams. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm good, right? The dreams are gone. I accepted Jesus. Then I went home. I spoke to my handyman. Because back then I had a lot of properties and stuff like that. And I said to him, I said, I feel like I'm about to walk through a door and my life will never be the same again. And that night, the dreams came back times 10. It was just like all these...
What were the dreams about?
All kinds of stuff.
Just crazy stuff.
Visions. I had dreams that came about that end up being real, visions, all this type of stuff. Things that I interpreted. I didn't even realize, like, I'll give you one example.
Okay.
Had this dream. I walk in this house. There's all these people wearing black. They're hugging my mother. Boom, 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 boom. Something's going on. It seems like somebody died. I go upstairs, like in this basement, and I can't remember the other part of it. Anyways, I wake up, and it's in passing, I tell one of my sisters about the dream. And she can be very paranoid. She's like, oh my God, somebody's gonna die. It's gonna be me. I've been having chest pains, all this. I'm like, chill out. It ain't you. And because she kept stressing it, I felt like I was forced to try to explain what the dream was. I said, listen, if the dream is real, then what I think it's gonna be is that someone who is close to the family has passed. Our mother will find out first. We will know. We're not related to us, but they're like in that circle. Why the next day, my mom calls me and says, this guy, friend of the family, just passed that same day I had the dream. And I was the last person that took him to church.
Wow.
He was not going to church. He was not believing. He had reached out to me and was like, yo, why don't you come to church with me? Took him to church, and his mom said like he had this amazing experience, and it was him that passed.
Wow. And ever since then, you're like, I'm living my life for Christ.
I mean, even before that, it was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep trying to grow with God. Like, you know what I'm saying? Again, I'll add another piece to it. When all this stuff was happening, I had spoke to this lady who was like a prophetess. And in me trying to come to God, and this is after I accepted Jesus. But again, I'm like, I don't know how this whole thing works. I don't understand what I'm doing.
Now what do I do?
Yeah. And she said something to me that I'll never forget that I feel like was the most important thing. She said, don't worry about the rules. Just focus on the relationship. She was like, listen, because I think one of the mistakes people make, and some people may disagree with this, they feel like the minute you accept Christ, you're supposed to completely change your life around and you're going to get everything right. And if you're not, then that means you haven't truly accepted. No. When you've lived your life a certain way for so many years, it's almost like, it's like crash dieting.
Yeah.
When you've been eating bad, then you go on this crash diet. You lose all this weight.
You're good for a week.
Yes.
And you blow back up because you go right back to your lifestyle.
And you end up being worse.
Yep.
And I've seen the same thing happen with spirituality. I remember growing up seeing guys from my neighborhood who were out in the clubs having fun.
Yep.
One day they get caught up in this church group, right? Now they're coming to the court with the Bible and you need to come to church with us, right?
Don't do this, don't do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And 2 months later, back in the club, 10 times worse than they were before.
Because you haven't built the relationship and let God shift your heart.
Yes, and go through the transition.
Yeah, it's a journey.
Yeah, it's like you got to build up certain muscles, certain spiritual muscles to be able to handle certain things. So you're going to make mistakes. And what happens is so many people are afraid to come to God, afraid to come to Christ because they feel like, well, if I am not able to conquer this issue, then I'm not worthy enough to come. And someone once said to me, you don't get good to go to God. You go to God and God makes you good. You see what I'm saying? And you got to understand, we all, like, if you read the Bible carefully, and I'm not perfect with reading it. I forgot which one it was. People forget this one, but I want to say it was Paul. I'm not sure. But when he said to Jesus, he was like, yo, I do things I know I'm not supposed to do. I do things I know is not right. Please remove this thorn from me. Jesus ain't say, all right, cool, we're going to remove it. Jesus ain't say, oh, you struggling? You can't be a disciple. Get out of here. He said, nah, you good. My grace is sufficient. So that means he knows you're going to keep stumbling. He knows you're going to keep falling. But that's part of the process. People don't understand that.
And it's the heart posture. People see all the exterior. You're doing this, you're drinking, you're cussing, you're doing this. What is your heart? God sees the heart. He sees people that are yearning for him, that are chasing for him. That's why relationship, I preach that, is so much, for me, it has changed my life opposed to religion. I had religion my whole life growing up. But building a relationship, focusing, spending time with God, talking to God, respecting his boundaries, learning more about him, listening to him, being obedient, that's relationship. I never had that aspect of it. And I think that's what changed my life.
Absolutely. And so, I hope for people listening to this, like, they understand, like I even remember when I was younger, this is before I even came to accepted Christ or whatever, there was a female friend I had, and I had told her, hey, she was struggling with something. I said, why don't you pray about it? And she was like, well, I feel like I'm out here in clubs and I don't know if I'm ready to let go of that lifestyle. So I shouldn't be praying. And I always was bothered by that and saddened by that. It was like, yo, like, I get it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying sin freely, do what the hell you want, but you're human. And God still wants you to come to him regardless of what's going on in your life, regardless of what's struggling. And don't let this outside noise of people who want, and that's a crazy thing. People want to judge you, but all they're doing is overlooking the sin they commit and focusing on the sin that you commit. Because maybe they don't commit the same as you, but they commit something different. Like they will literally tear you apart through gossiping about you, ignoring the fact that gossip is a sin. To sit there and destroy your character with something that you're struggling with and doing wrong. And it's like, yo,
it's crazy.
We all have our shortcomings. And you may have a season where you're not doing anything wrong, but you live life long enough.
It's gonna come.
You're gonna make some mistakes. That's life. So, I don't know how we got into all this.
I'm just so proud of you. That is just so beautiful. How long ago was that? How many years ago?
That I came to...
that you came to Christ.
Dang, when was that? I want to say 2005, 2007, something like that.
Okay, because I had that, the same experience. Like you said, it was very clear. It was a knowing, but mine was more recent when I focused on the relationship aspect of it. I was questioning religion. Like you said, I knew there was a God, I knew there was a higher power, but I'm like, why do I believe in Jesus? Because I was raised that way, not because I had my own encounter and my own relationship to the core of me knowing this is Jesus, this is Jesus, this is Jesus. And I just love your story of that.
Thank you.
It is so beautiful.
And I want to share this because the whole, the logic of believing in Jesus, I've actually come to a place, and again, I am no biblical scholar, so I'm only sharing my opinion and perspective, right? But I'm of the belief that my belief in Jesus is strengthened because now I see the complete logic in it.
Okay. And explain the logic.
So I'm a believer that, again, there is the world system and there's God's system. There is spiritual law. Okay. If you read the Bible, you pay attention. Everything back then, you had to sacrifice something. There was always a sacrifice, a lamb. Hell, even when he was challenging which one to kill his son, but he didn't have to kill his son. Okay, but there was always sacrifice involved because I believe the spiritual law was, again, you have to give something to get something. So now, once God has reached a point, and God does not break his system. He will only honor his system.
It's the same. Right?
Plain and simple.
It is what it is.
So, once he saw, all right, none of these jokers is going to make it because we all sinning out here, right? And the goal is to get us home with him. He had to find a way to not circumvent, but to honor the system in a way that allows us to get to him. So now, how would he have to do that? He had to make his own sacrifice. And what greater sacrifice than Jesus?
Wow.
It makes perfect sense. And so with that, he was able to honor the system in place, but now in return, he's allowed to allow us in as long as we believe and we honor the sacrifice that was made. Because it's almost like, yo, if the debt's been paid, but you don't believe the debt's been paid, well, then you still owe.
Then you still owe.
That's it. But as long as you believe that and you recognize, yes, it's been paid to take care of, you good.
I'm clean.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so to me, when I really broke things down in my own head, I'm like, yo, this makes perfect sense. You know what I'm saying? So, and again, I've just seen and I've been through so much. Like I literally have a document from 2007 or 8, 52 pages long, all dreams and spiritual occurrences. And I didn't even write everything down. I was so exhausted. There was days where I literally didn't want to leave my house.
Wow.
I would wake up feeling beat up. And it just felt like my spirit was in this constant battle every single day. But it was like boot camp. You know what I'm saying? I had to go through certain things. And God told me back then, here's the crazy thing too. When I was going through that whole thing with the voodoo and all that kind of stuff, I remember praying and asking God, like, yo, why is this happening to me? And God said to me at that time, mind you, I'll say this in a second. God said to me at that time, because I'm going to need you to speak about this one day. Now, back then, I wouldn't know Stephan Speaks. My degree is in IT, Management Information Systems, all right? I never in a million years saw that I would be writing books, speaking, any of this stuff. But what's strange is when I heard that, it made sense, even though I didn't know how. Like, I don't ever remember questioning him, like,
you were like,
speak
okay.
about it where? It was just like, okay, I get it.
Okay.
And then here we are right now talking about
I had no idea. Thank you for sharing your spiritual journey.
Yeah.
That is so cool to me. How old are you? I'm
not gonna get it from me.
Is it on Google? I'm gonna Google it. Oh my gosh. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing. I need to hire you as my relationship coach. I say that every time I see you. I'm like, I'm gonna hire you. Help me find my husband. Okay, before you go, I want you to let us know something you will try again in life. Outside of relationships, you tried God again. I know we talked about that, but it could be anything. Something that you've tried. You could have failed at it. You could have succeeded at it, but that you would try again. What would you try again in life?
What would I try again at life?
Anything. It could be something you did that was spontaneous, something.
I mean, the first thing that came to mind, but it's boring as hell. And I don't even know how serious I would be about trying it again. I didn't take college seriously.
Okay.
I graduated, but I didn't put any real effort. And at one time I was like, so I started my master's program in marriage and family therapy. But then I stopped after one semester because I was like, there's a lot of red tape and a lot of ethics codes and issues. And I felt like I'd be too restricted. So I didn't want to go that route anymore. But one of the motivations for going was not only to have the degree to fortify my career, but it was almost like my second chance of doing school right.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And actually applying myself. Because I'm a very naturally smart person, but I'm very unmotivated. Like I'm one of those kids with like, what's the point of this? I
can get by.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And once I learned that all you need is a C or higher to graduate, a C's what you're going to get from me.
It. A 69 and a half. That's all I need.
Whatever I got to do. I don't like school. So I'm just going to do enough. That's it.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing that came to mind right away.
I love that. I would actually, I haven't tried this, but I would say school again because I want to go to seminary school.
Really?
It's just so interesting to me. I'm not trying to be no pastor, no preacher, but I would love to learn more Greek, the Hebrew, the roots of Jesus Christ, and just go to school for that. So I would try that too.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What's something you would not try again?
Not try again.
Like, I'm not doing this. I tried it. I didn't like it. I'm not trying this again.
I hate saying this, but this is what popped in my head. But let me just preface this by saying, if push came to shove, I would do it.
But you don't want to?
No.
Okay, what?
Work a 9 to 5.
Ooh! Oh, I can't wait to clip this up. I can't wait to clip this up.
Listen, because I know I am not wired
that way.
For that. Exactly.
I get it.
So it's not.
It's the wiring.
Yes.
It's not the money. It's not that you're better. It's not.
Exactly.
We're not shitting on people with 9 to 5. Shit.
I said
that in 1989, and y'all still messing with me about that damn comment.
Yeah, and I'm the guy who would work any job. To me, I'm all about you gotta do what you gotta do.
Oh, for sure.
And that's what I was saying. Like, if push came to shove, if I went completely broke, I'm gonna get me a regular 9 to 5 job. I'm gonna do that, or get me a great 9 to 5 job, whatever. But yeah, it's that structured system. I feel too restricted.
You're not wired that way.
Yeah, I need more freedom.
Yeah.
I need to just do what I do. I need to be creative in how I think. And I'm not allowed to do. I even had an HR person because I was always the king of quitting. All right. Once you piss me off, I'm done.
I'm gone.
I'm quit. Because I had confidence that I could replace the job quickly.
Yeah.
I never felt like I'd be out without one. And the HR lady told me, she said, honestly, you're meant to work for yourself. I'm glad you quit. You belong doing your own thing. So when she said that, it like confirmed to me, I'm just wired this way and I have to accept it for what it is.
Yeah, I get that. I'm not doing that shit either. I would look in the camera and say that. But if push come to shove, but I rebuke if push come to shove. Push shouldn't ever come to shove. Push better not ever come to shove. But if it did, I would go get my ass a job. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Thank you for being here. We're going to make this a part 2. And because we've been just chatting it up. This is a great episode. I love your take on things. And I'm so glad I got to hear your spiritual journey because I had no idea about that.
Yeah, I didn't know I was going to be talking about all that today.
I'm glad you did.
People looking at me like I'm crazy, but it's all good. It's all good.
Thank you for being here. You guys, another episode of the Let's Try This Again podcast with Stephan Speaks. Thank you so much. And if you guys want to tap in, we have the audio every Monday and the YouTube every Tuesday. Thank you guys so much for being here. Peace. See you next week.
Fake
Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Let's Try This Again podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and share the podcast. Until next time, stay resilient and remember, I love you guys.